Good morning, writers. Today is a day in the writing process that's one of my favorites. I'm super excited to share with you. So, today we are going to be editing our stories and also giving them a title. Now, editing is when you finished your writing, finished your illustrations, and you just want to make it look extra spiffy for your reader. If you think about the whole writing process as making an ice cream sundae, I think about the editing as kind of sprinkling the cherry or maybe even the little sprinkles on top. So it's that little extra something that makes your story look ready to read. I gave you an example sentence here, actually 2 example sentences. And I'm going to hold it up and give you a couple seconds to see if you can see what's wrong with this sentence. Or not wrong rather, but which is a beautiful mistake that we can change and learn from. So I have here 2 sentences that say, I was chopping wood. It was cold. I'm going to hold it up so you can see it. And what do you notice, thinking about all the things we've learned about uppercase letters at the beginning of sentences and punctuation and finger spaces? Do you spy any spots where we can edit our writing so that it's easier for our readers to read it? Let's see. Maybe you noticed this right here. I was chopping wood. It was cold. Is I was chopping wood a sentence by itself? That's a complete thought, right? I was chopping wood. So at the end of our complete thoughts or sentences, even if it's on the same line as our next sentence, we add a period. So now this says, I was chopping wood, period, new sentence. It was cold. And what do we know about new sentences? What does a new sentence always start with? You guessed it, an uppercase letter. So there's 2 ways you can show an uppercase letter. You can go like this. You can do 3 little lines beneath your lowercase letter to make, that's a signal that says to your readers, this is actually an uppercase letter. Or you can do a simple little cross out and right next to it, do an uppercase letter. Let's see. This looks a lot better, but now I'm looking at something else. Good finger space here, finger space here, finger space here. Here our finger spaces get a little bit funky because of our edits, but that's okay. What about this right here? It was cold. If you're noticing what I'm noticing, I forgot to put a space in between was and cold. So what I can do, there's a couple options when I'm editing. I can either draw a line, a big line, in between the words to show that these are actually 2 words, or I could do a little cross out and just underneath it write was, finger space, cold. And then of course at the end of that sentence, I need to put what? Punctuation, exactly. I could either put a period, it was cold, or an exclamation mark, it was cold. I myself am a big fan of exclamation marks, so that's what I would choose. All right, so your first job in editing is to make sure that your readers can read your words. Make sure that they're uppercase when they need to be at the beginning of sentences, that there's punctuation at the end of sentences, and there's finger spaces in between each word. Now, another way that your writing can sometimes make, another thing you can do when you write that makes it a little confusing for your readers is make uppercase letters when you're not supposed to. Remember, we've really been working on, unless we need to do an uppercase letter, like it's somebody's name or the beginning of a sentence, we're working on our lowercase letters. So I want you to go back over your writing today, look through your pages, your beginning, your middle, and your end, and circle letters you might have that are uppercase that don't need to be uppercase, and fix them. And I want us to especially focus on these letters being lowercase letters because they're the ones we've had the most practice with. Sometimes they're called the magic C letters because, like magic, if you make a C, that's the shape they all start out in. So C is a magic C letter, but so is A and O and G and even D, because the first step of all of these letters is making that magic C shape. So I want you to pay extra special attention to our magic C letters, which are C, A, O, G, and D, and make sure that all of your letters, unless they're at the beginning of a sentence or they're somebody's name, are lowercase when they need to be. Capiche? Capoche. All right, so when you've done all your edits, you've sprinkled your sprinkles, it's time to give your story a super special, juicy title. And titles, if you think about it, are the first thing readers see. When you go to the library with Miss Cardoni and you see the books, what's some of the first thing you notice? Probably the cover picture, that's important too, but you also see the title, and the title is something that can grab your reader and hook them in. So I want you to think about making titles that are interesting and juicy, and if you saw that title, you would look at that book and think, I want to learn more. I want to read more about what that's about. So it's time to make a title page for your book, complete with a beautiful illustration that if your book were on a shelf, a reader would walk by and say, whoa, I want to learn more about that book. That book looks really cool or interesting or funny or adventurous. So your title and your illustration on your cover page are your book's first impression to your reader. So think about making something that will hook them in. All right, so your jobs today are to do your editing and then to make a title page. I cannot wait to see the finished product. I'm very excited to see them, and all of your other teachers are too. That's all for today, writers. See you soon.